Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kenny Wallace Show. I'm in my seat. Actually, I'm sitting about an inch taller for this YouTube special. I can't quit laughing. Martinsville on Sunday. It was one for the ages. We have never seen anything like this. And actually, this was the first time that I've seen everybody on social media admit what they've never admitted. Here's what they all said. I don't watch NASCAR, but you all watched those last 30 laps. Listen, I'm guilty too. These NASCAR Cup races, they're long. They're long. They can start that race and you can go to lunch. You can take a nap, come back, and still 100 to go. I think the whole world watched that NASCAR Cup race on Sunday at Martinsville with about 30 laps to go. Christopher Bell put on a show. He had to win to get in. Joey Logano was looking good. Chase Elliott, he was kind of hovering. It was a championship chase for the ages. Now, remember, let's break it down before we get to Ross Chastain. I know y'all are biting at the bits about Ross Chastain, and so am I. But here's where we are in NASCAR right now. We locked in the Final Four on Sunday evening at Martinsville, and I got my notes. As old Aaron McReynolds say, I got my notes. It reminded me to tell you about Chastain on the high side. All right. This is the Final Four going to Phoenix to race for the championship. Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, Watermelon Man, and not Christopher Bell, but C. Bell. All these drivers are so deserving. They earned it. There is not one driver that any of you can say he didn't deserve to be into it. I got to tell you, I always say that, listen, I do not speak forked tongue. I always say when NASCAR does good, then I say they do good. When NASCAR does bad, I say they do bad. This is the Herminator show. That's what separates us from the rest, is we call it the way we see it. So you look at Joey Logano, he won to get in. Christopher Bell, he won to get in. And Chastain pulled off a miraculous situation that we're going to talk about. And Chase Elliott deserved to be in. All these drivers are winners, and they have done a hell of a job. And we got the Final Four that are deserving. These are, now when you look at Ross Chastain or a C. Bell, you're like, man, those guys don't really, they're kind of new up there, but they're winners this year, and they've done it. All right, so now listen, we previewed, we told you who the four are going to Phoenix. Now, I've been asked a lot of questions. When we go to Phoenix, do you have to win the race to win the championship? No. But here's the deal. Nobody has not won the race to win the championship. So most likely, if that ever happens, that's going to be a big deal. So here's what I'm saying. Can Chase Elliott run second and still win the championship? Oh, absolutely. That can happen. But it has not happened yet. Usually these four are the fastest because they usually time it right? So when we get to Phoenix, it's going to be one of those drivers most likely going to win. So now that we got that out of the way, drum roll, please, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Ross Chastain. And we got to include Christopher Bell in there. But let's go with Ross Chastain, because I know this is what you all want to hear about. So here's the disclaimer part, right? The disclaimer is what happened, Herm? What happened? Ross Chastain was 2 points behind Denny Hamlin. He was fifth in the points. He needed to be fourth. He's going down the back straightaway, coming to the checkered flag. Denny Hamlin made some passes 2 laps before. It looks like Denny Hamlin's going to finish fourth in the championship. And there's your top four, and they hardly didn't move much, and all looks good. Except Ross Chastain for 5 laps. He's going, oh my gosh, I'm running 7th or 8th. So Ross Chastain's running 7th or 8th. He's out of the championship chase. And Ross is just young enough where he played those video games. Remember? He said he played 2005. That means he might have raced me, because I believe I was in some video games maybe in 2005. And he said they tried it on the video games. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work. So listen to this. Ross Chastain going down the back straightaway. 5 laps to go at Martinsville. He decides in his head that he as he's racing, he's kind of got this peripheral vision. He's got his eye looking at the wall. He's like, He sees that there's no gaps in the wall. In other words, this wall is really smooth, even the pit gate. So when you come up at turn 4, you got some sections. If I take my car and I lean it against the wall, smash on the gas and go, what's my car going to dig into? This is crazy shit. This is out of the movies. This is something that you all right. This is a James Bond deal. This is like, that's so stupid. Why are they insulting my intelligence? You can't do that. Except, remember, this was one for the history books. So here we go. We're going down the back straightaway with Ross Chastain. He has surveyed this corner for 5 laps. He decides, now remember, these are little bump shifters. They're called sequential shifter. They're not an H pattern. You don't got to go, you don't got to do nothing. You just tap it. Bang. They were shifting the whole race, every corner. So he goes down the back straightaway. He holds it wide open, and then just goes, bang. Goes to 5th gear, hits it wide open, and goes around that corner with his car rubbing the wall all the way around to where everybody watching it on TV, including myself, thought they sped the film up. You know how they used to do years ago to speed the film up? And it was even Jeff Burton, it was Dale Earnhardt Jr. said, race fans, we're not speeding the film up. As he did that, he passed 6 cars or so, went into turn 3 wide open, flew through the corner with his car rubbing the wall. We've all dreamed of doing this, right? Except in my dream, I thought we'd have little wheels. A wheel on the right rear, a wheel on the right front. We just go, and I thought about it before. Who hasn't? He passes like 5 cars so fast that it's an animated cartoon. It blows by Denny Hamlin. Now, he didn't need to pass Denny Hamlin, but he gained enough points to where he bumped Brad Keselowski right in the ass. And by the way, Brad Keselowski was found too light at the end of the race, so he was disqualified. So now he's got all these points, and it's all good to go. And everybody is like, I don't have enough hair. Everybody's hair is standing straight up. Everybody's like, it reminds me of the great Jack Buck who called a Cardinal game. I don't believe what I just saw. It was unbelievable. So, Chase Elliott, we'll show it to you. You can find it on YouTube. I don't know if Charlie can show it to you, but it was one for the ages. It is, let's put it this way. I don't believe, this, for me, this kind of ties the Bubba Wallace story and maybe goes ahead of it a little bit, because every kid that runs this is one situation where these little video games are like, I hate to say it because I don't like giving a lot of credit to video games, because you can always hit the reset button, right? Now, we always say that, the one thing about the video games is you never get hurt, okay? But I will say this. After the race, Chase Elliott, my God, Ross Chastain and Chase Elliott. A lot of going on there. But anyway, that's a tongue twister. Ross Chastain said afterwards, and I don't think he meant to say it. He says, after I did that, my head kind of hurt, rung my bell. So I'm kind of mixing and matching stories here. Will that be the next story? I believe Ross is just fine. He looked good in his videos last night, but everybody heard it live on TV. He says, my head hurts. This car, remember, this car's it puts on a good show. Remember, I'm the same. I'm consistent. The car puts on a good show, but it's too hard. The car is knocking drivers out. So I believe Ross is okay. Like I said, I watched him do his own videos last night, but he rung his bell. He sacrificed his body to put himself in the chase for the championship. And all four of these drivers can win this deal. But listen, all I saw last night was, I don't watch NASCAR, but so you all watch, give it up, post on the timeline here. Just listen, I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying for once, give it up, okay? You watch, and it was good. It was good. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, okay? We put the Ross Chastain story to bed. Unbelievable, unbelievable. And I want to say this before I do move on about the drivers that didn't like it. Thought it was cool, but they want to outlaw it. Let me just say this. There are a lot of people that said, Kyle Larson did this at Darlington. You run the wall at Darlington. So I don't want to hear that. You run the wall at Darlington. Hell, I ran the wall at Darlington all the time. But I believe my quote got an listen, okay, my arm is not hurting from patting my back, but my phrase that I put out on social media was correct. I don't take it back. If I'm wrong, I tell you I'm wrong. But Carl Edwards tried it some 10 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. Carl Edwards at Kansas City, going down the backstretch, they flew on the inside of Jimmy Johnson, and he entered the corner wrong, and he thought, I'd smash the gas and try to drag it along at Kansas City. He was the one that really tried to do it for a win on the last corner. So, I'm sure that if Carl was to think about it again, he's like, why didn't I think about that? Carl should have entered the corner, but I don't think that was a different car back then. It would probably destroyed that car. And let's go back to that timing and circumstances, like Bill Elliott taught us. I don't think you can do what Ross Chastain did with an older car. However, I think with this car, with as hard as the body is, because when we looked at Ross Chastain's car after the wreck or after what he did, it was destroyed, but it stayed together. So I believe it was Carl Edwards that tried it. We saw it years ago at Kansas City against Jimmy Johnson. Carl Edwards tried it, but we know that Ross Chastain made it work. All right, then. So that's that disclaimer on that. Okay, we put the Ross Chastain deal to bed. Now, you're going to say, damn it, Herman, Kyle Larson and Joey Logano, they think it ought to be outlawed. Why do they got to ruin a good thing? I agree with you. Hey, I was thinking about this deal. We're going to Phoenix next week, right? And I've run that new design. So Phoenix has been through about 3 different designs of the racetrack, right? Now it's all different. But they call it the front straightaway now, the dog leg front straightaway. Well, when that track was designed, you were meant to stay on the racetrack. Little did they know when they designed that racetrack, they got all this asphalt on the front straightaway, down on the bottom. All the drivers, all of them, come off the racetrack, off the last corner, turn 4, and they all died down. And they go off of the racetrack surface. It's not illegal. Now, should everybody rub the wall? Well, listen, let's break that down. You can't, okay? What Ross Chastain did, he did it for that one moment in time for that exact situation. He couldn't have done that one lap earlier because, as he said, his car was destroyed. The steering was knocked off. When you look at his right front after the wreck, the right front was way in. You can only do that on the last lap, the last corner, coming for the checkered flag. So let's remember that. You can't do that in the middle of the race because you knock yourself out of the race. So if it's ever going to be done again, I don't even think you can do it in qualifying because you destroy the car. Most likely you'd be going to the back of the pack or you have to get a backup out. But I do not think it should be outlawed. If we're going to talk about video games, since we've all been kids, you know, we run those video games and they got, remember they give you that little boost button and you can only run that boost button for like 10 seconds in your video game. I think that's a boost button, okay? And I don't see anything wrong with it. Now, I will say that I do see Joey Logano's point. It's a very dangerous move. I only think you do it at a very slow racetrack. Man, you know, at Phoenix, you are flying. You're going probably 4 times faster, 3 times faster. Martinsville is our slowest racetrack. Look it up. Martinsville is our slowest racetrack in the series. As far, you know, okay, let's not go back to, you know, the LA Coliseum. That's not a real deal. I don't even know if it works there. But anyway, you are going to be flying going into turn 3. And I don't know if the wall is perfect. You got to study the walls. You just don't do it everywhere. So I do believe Joey Logano has a point. It is a dangerous move. It is meant for a daredevil, because what Joey's saying is that you could be riding with the guy and the tire could grab the wall, flip him over. But, you know, listen, this is a dangerous sport. You can die. You can maim yourself. And we've been through that. And it is, but listen, I don't think you do that at every racetrack, the last lap all the time. I think you're taking a chance, and I really think it's just a Martinsville deal. I really do. So, all right. So let's wrap it up. I've explained it all to you. I told you who's going to Phoenix. I told you all about the Chase and the Ross Chastain. There I go again. I told you all about the Ross Chastain deal. I gave you my opinion. I don't think it should be outlawed. I think that should be left up. I think it is a dangerous sport. I don't think everybody's going to be doing it. I don't think we got to make another rule. I think the fans will love just knowing that, hey, it's out there. All right. So we've gone through it all. Now, Charlie Marlowe, drum roll, please. Who is going to win the championship? Oh, well, that's like Martinsville. Do you know I got 3 of the 4 right? Christopher Bell said it himself in Victor Lane. We've never run good here. I can't believe this, right? Who saw Chase Elliott? I mean, there was times Chase was only 11 points to the good. That was it's very hard to say who's going to win it. I don't think nobody. You got to get lucky, right? So let's take a look at it. Logano. So William Byron won the last race at Martinsville, and he didn't show up. I mean, you know, at the end there, he was lined up because he hardly took tires. But so that tells you, just because, you know, Chase Briscoe, right? He won the last race at Phoenix. Remember, that's how he won and got in. So when you got Logano, Elliott, Chastain, and Bell, these guys are primed right now. They're all running good. Just because they didn't run good at Phoenix last race doesn't mean they're not going to run good. Everybody's making good pit stops now, but you still have those bad pit stops. Man, I tell you, I can't. I want to go with Chase Elliott because he's the ladies' man and he's the most popular driver. I'm going to throw a dart on the wall. I'm going to go with Ross Chastain. Okay, I got to go with Ross Chastain because, hey, you ride that horse while it's hot. I always quote Dale Sr. You know that. You know you can't go wrong quoting Dale Sr. It's like quoting Babe Ruth. Dale Earnhardt Sr. told me one time when Sr. won that Bud shootout, I said, oh, my God, you kept coming from the back to the front. And Dale Sr. said, you ride that horse while it's hot. I'm saying that Chastain was just good enough at Martinsville to keep himself in the game. See, Chastain didn't run bad at Martinsville. He was always in the top 10. He was there to pounce. I'm going to go with momentum. I'm going to go with old Mo. I'm going to go Chastain to win the championship. I'm going to say Christopher Bell second. Charlie, make sure we have this. I'm going to go Chastain to win it. I'm going to go C. Bell is my second choice. And then I'm going to go, gosh, how do you rank Elliott or Logano? But I'm going to go Chastain to win the championship, Christopher Bell second, and then I'm going to go Logano third, Chase Elliott fourth. All right, then I said it. Listen, okay, I know I said Chase Elliott and William Byron were the hottest things going, but they're not right now. That's how sports is. That's how NASCAR is. It changes like the weather. All right, well, man, that was a lot to break down there, and wow, the Kenny Wallace Show just keeps on rolling. Well, thank you all. The views are humbling, and Charlie Marlowe says he's going to buy me some better equipment. We're getting a microphone pretty soon here, so everybody on our podcast can listen. So remember, subscribe right here. I'm going to get my hands right. Subscribe right here to YouTube, please. And remember, we are on podcast. We are on iTunes and Spotify. All right. Our next show up is going to be my thoughts on that crazy-ass Ty Gibbs. I got a lot to say, and that show going to be tomorrow. All right.